High influence of communication on the effectiveness of the class.
What is education? Training aimed at developing the intellectual, moral, and emotional capacity of people in accordance with the culture and norms of coexistence of the society to which they belong. Types of communication. 1. Verbal communication. Verbal communication is characterized by the use of words. 2. Nonverbal communication. This type of language is carried out without the use of words. 3. Individual. 4. Collective. This type of communication occurs when there are more than two people exchange message. 5. Intrapersonal. This type of communication occurs when a person communicates with himself. 7. Intragroup. This type of communication occurs when two or several people belonging to the same group or group communicate. 8. Intergroup. Intergroup communication refers to the communication.
10. Visual communication. In this type of communication, message, for example, ideas are transmitted through the visual medium and are perceived through the edges. Auditor communication is a type of communication in the message and information is perceived through the
olfactory communication. The message received through the olfactory route gives the shape of the olfactory communication. For example, the act of perceiving the information that a person gives, be it smell. Gustatory communication. It is a type of communication in which information is sent through text. Telephone communication is the communication that is made. Virtual or digital communication. Virtual or digital communication is the communication that occurs thanks to the world connected through the internet. Television communication. The communication that occurs through the television is television communication. Cinematic communication is the communication that occurs through the big screen. Advertising communication. This type of communication occurs when a company sends a message, usually to a group of consumers, that publicize their brand or sell a product. Journalistic communication and educational communication. The content is distinct of communication is of some educational nature. Political communication. The information of this type of communication is political and the content usually has a strong ideological burden. Sync communication. The type of communication refers to that used via deaf and deaf people and the people in their environment. Organizational vertical communication and horizontal communication. Another type of organizational communication that occurs within the same level. Sexual communication. The content of the communication is of sexual nature. Emotional communication. Emotional communication refers to the content is emotional.
How do the types of communication affect use? Communication is one of the most important processes for an information. You need to carry a service of excellence and maintain a pleasant organizational environment. It must be carried directly, clearly, accurately, and honestly. You can mention three basic types of communication, and these are passive, assertive, aggressive. Literature sounds like comments of the type communication known as passive aggressive, but there are different of the concept and the trade uniform. Type communication, aggressive communication, assertive communication. Difference in the reception of the message. At the moment of transmitting a message to a person across large groups, the reception of this can vary depending on the people, position in display, some factor around various distraction, capacity of the people actually in delivery of the message. Therefore, this often leads to repeat the message clarification. Wrong message delivered or poorly received. Thanks. Bye, teacher.
Created using Powtoon.